I'm sure all of us in this room, teachers included, have experienced that feeling at 3:40 p.m. on a Friday, when you're itching to get out of your chair, your mind begins to wander, and your eyes cannot focus on the work at hand. It has been a long, hard week, which, let's face it, is pretty much every week at Appleby. You may get a little fidgety, and it's impossible to keep your attention. Now, I want you to imagine this feeling times 10, and consider that your mind is traveling so fast, it seems hopeless to even grasp a single thought. That's what it is like every day with ADHD. So, bear with me for another analogy. You're downloading new software on your Fujitsu. And forgive me in advance, Tech Council, if I completely mess this up. But the software you're downloading is for an Apple Mac, and you cannot print any of your work you need because the correct printer drive is missing. There isn't anything wrong with the laptop itself. It's in perfect condition. But everything isn't working cohesively. Like sometimes, information I receive doesn't match my way of learning, so I can't understand it getting inputted into my brain. Just like the issue with having poor software being inputted into the computer. And I may have a beautiful image to print, so a really great idea or knowledge, but I'm unable to print it out or communicate it well. That's what it is like having dyslexia. My name is Ava Harrison, and I have ADHD and dyslexia. But I'm here to tell you that I'm not ashamed of who I am, and that I'm not letting it hold me back. When people discover that I have ADHD, they are more surprised I'm not like Doug the dog from the movie Up, who breaks focus anytime he sees a squirrel. I've actually been asked about this a lot. And also, I do not read things backwards. Life doesn't give me melons instead of lemons. It also astonishes people that I'm not failing English because I'm dyslexic. So thank you, Mr. Dion. I'll give you the $100 later. It was in 3rd grade that I found out that I had learning disabilities. After a grueling 9 hours of psychological tests for 3 days, it was determined that I had attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and dyslexia. I was totally crushed. I clearly remember turning to my mom with tears in my eyes saying, "I don't want to be stupid." It took years for me to understand that learning disabilities aren't synonymous with a lack of intelligence. This is partly because my friends and even some of my teachers made assumptions about my capabilities based off of my learning issues. ADHD automatically made teachers think I was a troublemaker. So when my eyes wandered to the window or I wanted to go to the bathroom for the 3rd time after lunch, I would be called out. It made me feel so ashamed. Sometimes when I was selected to read out loud in class, I'd be asked mid-paragraph to stop by my peers through booing because I was slowing everyone else down. I felt like there was a stamp on my forehead reading failure. I was filled with so much shame and self-loathing. I was completely trapped inside stereotypes that limited my success and made me feel utterly worthless. I truly stopped believing in myself. 6 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to read the sentence without stuttering or skipping words. 6 years ago, I didn't believe I could focus long enough to be successful in school. 6 years ago, delivering a chapel speech like this would have been a pipe dream. But I'm doing all these things today because I made the choice to try. Ignoring the negative comments, I kept volunteering to read aloud to my peers. I practiced at home and at school, slowly improving. I learned tricks to minimize fidgeting and took ADHD medication until grade 9. I knew I was so much more than a label. Slowly, the successes started coming, and my confidence grew. By grade 10, I was in Appleby, off of medication, and an Optimati student. My academics and social life were really starting to come together. But truthfully, boarding life at Appleby was surprisingly hard for me. I loved being surrounded by my friends, waking up 5 minutes before classes, and S1s, the spares live up to the hype. But I was really struggling with my ADHD and dyslexia. My home has always been my safe space. When I'm in my room, I don't have to be switched on. I put so much effort into focusing and keeping myself together at school, it's physically and mentally exhausting. I have to consciously remind myself to look at the teacher when he or she is speaking, make eye contact, stop tapping my foot against the desk, not to look at the chubby squirrel outside the window, to remember to reread the question at least 3 times. And the mental checklist goes on and on and on. But this year, I had no more safe zone. My inability to leave school at the end of the day and to decompress started to catch up to me. Even though I have the world's best roommate, Michaela, I still felt like I really couldn't withdraw and recharge in my room. And with my dyslexia, I also found it difficult to finish homework, along with university applications, within the allocated 2-hour study period. I was truly in a downward spiral. I was either angry, sad, or exhausted, and it was taking a toll on my family and even my friendships. After a couple of months of boarding, I finally asked for help. I'm lucky that my amazing roommate, fantastic friends, incredible family, and supportive teachers stood by me as I felt my world was crumbling. I made the decision to go back on ADHD medication after 3 years. The medicine helps me focus, calm my mind, and control my impulses. But to be clear, it doesn't make me a zombie or let me do all-nighters before an exam or give me superhuman intelligence like Limitless. It just helps me be more like you. Sometimes I'm in my element and everything comes together, and sometimes not so much. I also got the support that I need from Mr. Waters and the Student Success Center. Accommodations like extra time on tests, writing in a quiet space, or taking medication doesn't mean that I've given up, but rather that I'm giving myself the best chance to succeed. Would it be fair if 2 people are running in a 100-meter dash, but one competitor has their finish line moved 20 meters further back than the others? No, we all know that. Learning disabilities and mental health issues deserve to have the accommodations because it moves the finish line a little closer, so we have a fair shot at success too. It is a safe space where students can focus on tests or tasks. I personally get 1.5 time, which means if a test is 60 minutes, then I get 90. At times, people question if I even need it or claim that I'm only doing well in school because of it. But I just try to brush those comments off. I am not going to hinder myself or take away from my learning because some kid down the hall may think less of me. Invisible disabilities aren't respected, like a twisted ankle or a broken arm. If it isn't seen, some think it doesn't exist, and the disability is just an excuse. Having a disability is like a mental fracture in the brain. I am just as restricted in my focusing and reading as someone would be with moving the broken body part. But a cast doesn't make it better. These programs are put in place to make it better. I deserve to have the best chance to accomplish my goals and do well, as do you. And also a side note, the Student Success Center gives amazing snacks during exams, like the Quaker Chewy bars, just to put it out there. After getting the help I needed, it didn't take long before my grades increased, my school life was balanced, and I was happy. I felt like myself again. Of course, this is only a small part of my story, and it isn't necessarily a part of yours. So some of you are probably wondering, why am I telling you all of this? It's because everything starts with you, including all of us supporting each other. Do not let anything or anyone hold you back. Whether you have an invisible disability, a visible one, or no disability at all, you control your own path and destiny. If you are unhappy with something, then change it. If you need help, ask for it. I cannot promise it will be easy, but it will be worth it. Sometimes during readings, I still stutter and skip words. I still feel restless and forget to use my indoor voice. And if you ask anyone in Camp Vista, they'll tell you my spelling is far from perfect, especially when I have to ask the 3rd graders if I spelled responsibility right. But I'm still trying. I've come a long way. I'm an Optimati senior. I'm standing here currently giving a speech, and I'm going to be studying honor science in September. So don't give up. Even when the obstacles that you are facing are great, be proud of all your accomplishments. I am. My mom and dad believed I was smart and could do anything from the beginning, even when I didn't believe in myself. So if you haven't heard this in your life yet, I believe in all of you. And since I believe in you, you should too. Your failures and shortcomings do not define who you are. We are so much more than labels and stereotypes. And most importantly, Stop being ashamed or embarrassed of who you are. I am glad for having these disabilities, and I know this sounds absolutely crazy, but the strength and determination that I need to achieve things will always be with me. And yes, my life would have been a lot easier. But without my ADHD, I may not have been as gregarious or bubbly. And without my dyslexia, I wouldn't have practiced reading to the point of genuinely enjoying it. Amazing people have learning disabilities too. Michael Phelps, Adam Levine, and will.i.am all have ADHD. Leonardo da Vinci, my bad. Not Leonardo DiCaprio, but he's a great actor. Steven Spielberg, Pierre Curie, a Nobel Prize winner, John Lennon, F. Scott Fitzgerald, and Pablo Picasso are all believed to have had dyslexia. They are all unbelievably successful. I am proud of who I am, and you should all be proud of yourself too. The obstacle everyone in this room has faced has been great, and it's helped them grow. So the obstacles you're going to face in the future may be scary, but I know you can all overcome them. Don't let anything hold you back, because even when the odds are stacked up against you, you are capable of so many more fantastic, inspiring, and wonderful things than you can possibly imagine. And although it is traditionally a Christmas song, please rise to sing my favorite hymn, 128.